in the water here, which is pretty cool actually. Got a little baby Kwai Noi. Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Savage Traveling, coming to you from Da Noi, Thailand, out here in beautiful Isaan. Today I just wanted to talk about why foreigners can't handle living here. Because it isn't the same as Patti or Bangkok or Koh Samui, Phuket, Koh Chang, wherever else you tend to find a lot of tourists, expats living. Now, there are a lot of tourists and expats that do live out here. Not all of them are having a good time or stay as long as they intended to. But there's a few good reasons for that. Like I said, it's slow out here. If you don't speak Thai, you are going to be isolated and alone, especially if your girlfriend or wife doesn't speak English as well as you, or her English is limited. Now, here's a good example. I just was out at the green shop and met a British guy, and he's up here. He has no wife, girlfriend. He's on an education visa, and he's just up here living. I guess he lived in Chiang Mai for a while some years back and loved that, but wanted to change of pace, so he's out here now. And we were just talking about the differences of, you know, you're isolated out here, and like we talked for 20 minutes because, you know, you don't run into a guy who speaks English very often up here. And so we sat and talked for a few minutes, even though my wife was kind of upset when I got back because I was only supposed to be gone for about 10 minutes, and I was gone for way longer than that. And that's just the kind of, that's a good example of why people, they'll come up here with, rose tinted glasses. It's great. It is beautiful. It is laid back. It's chill. But you will find yourself alone unless you have, many people around you who speak English. Beyond the isolation part, you're going to have, you have the Thai culture pressures where if you're not used to that, there's going to be a certain way that your wife or girlfriend or whoever you're up here with are going to expect you to act. Like, there's just certain things that you do and you don't do, with the whys and shoes off when you come in the house. That's, you take your shoes off to go in some stores here. Those are little things, honestly. But you got the rodent issue. Right now we're hunting. We got the sticky traps out trying to catch a rat or two that might be running around. Like, at least we see some signs of something running through. Just outside of the house there's a squashed one in the road. You see that quite frequently. Not, that's not everybody's cup of tea. The dogs, you can't really do this, what I'm doing here at night, because the dogs will come out and get you. I talked about that in the last video. Another good example out here in the village especially is that they like to throw impromptu concerts here. Like when somebody sells land, say there's a birthday or a death, they like to bring these big buses in that are like music buses. And they're loud. They have a full band that it's like the stage is inside the bus, and like the side of the wall. I have some pictures, I'll put them up right now. And those things get loud, like just around the corner here where we're walking. Last winter, they had a huge party, and it shook it shook our walls until after 4 o'clock in the morning. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like they had paid off the village headman. Nobody was coming to tell these people to stop. And it kept everybody in the whole village up till after 4 o'clock in the morning. And that's happened 3 or 4 different times this last week here in the village, where I heard music nowhere near as loud as the first example that's happened right up here. But it's still loud and obnoxious and annoying. And some people, nobody wants to deal with that, and you're gonna have to out here. It's not every week, but it happens quite frequently. Those are just a couple of things that could really ruffle somebody's feathers. The stairs, I just got them right there because look, stupid flong out here with a camera, ha ha ha. You know, it's whatever, I don't really care. I'm out here trying to do my thing. This is, you know, you want to have a hobby. That's leading into to stay busy while you're out here. If you don't have an online job, or you just, you know, are used to being able to go out and do things, like there's nothing to go out and do here. I'm lucky enough to have Ken just about 25 minutes away, so if I, you know, want to go to the city, I can. But in a lot of instances, if you're coming to Isaan with your wife or girlfriend, you may not be as close to a metropolitan area as we are. So you're going to want to come with hobbies. Like, I like to do the YouTube, I like to go fishing. I'm really good at like scrolling on my phone, so I don't have much of a problem with it. But I've heard time and time again from guys that have came up here and tried to do this, that they just couldn't stay busy. There was just nothing for them to stay busy. And, you know, you could go to your local coffee shop or wherever, you know, back home, and you would run into people you could speak English with. Here, that's fewer and farther between, and that just gives a lot of problems for guys. Like, every time I go back to Pattaya or Bangkok and I sit in a bar and talk to older guys and I tell them I stay up here with my wife, you know, you hear them complain about the kids driving too fast on their motorbikes, or the motorbikes are really loud, or they don't understand the traffic patterns, and every time they get on a motorbike or in their car, they about get smashed. And that's just the way it is up here. I mean, that's no different from them to us. Like, that's just how it is. And a lot of guys can't adjust to that, because you really are taking your life into your own hands when you get on the roads out here. And, you know, that's just, some people may not want to do that. And, you know, I get that. I don't think it's much safer anywhere else in the world, but I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Got some kwai up here. Here, I was down here washing the motorbike earlier and fell. You can actually see where the bike skid as I was falling. I'm gonna need a massage here. But I get why people try to come out here. Then I understand why people turn tail and head back to Pattaya or Bangkok or wherever they may be. Because, I mean, this is the biggest action you're gonna see here in the village all day today, is these kwai hanging out in the water here, which is pretty cool actually. Got a little baby kwai noi. Hey guys, I'm just chilling. And it's a slow way to live. I prefer it, but not everybody will. You know, your menu is going to be, the only thing you're going to have to eat is either what you bring in from the store or what you can get in the village. And, you know, my wife eats a wide variety of foods, but in the end, she's, you know, week by week, it's the same bunch of stuff she's eating. So if you can't do that, you might have a bad time, you know, like. And I don't think anybody's less or weak for not thinking they could live out here. Like, I totally understand it, because I'm still adjusting, and this is my second, like I said, I don't stay here full time, but I've stayed here enough now to know that it's not easy, and you got to be determined, or you just, you know, or just be really good at hanging out and keeping yourself busy. Because I could see getting caught up in drinking, where you just stay drunk all day, you know, because that's all there is to do. And there's plenty of people, you know, if you can speak a little Thai, that there's people around here that will drink with you all day long if you want to, you know what I mean? My situation, I don't have the family, you know, they don't want anything from me. They don't expect me to better their life. My wife, you know, she wants the best, obviously, and I try to give her the best. But it's not ridiculous like I've heard of other stories of guys coming out and just getting fleeced, you know. I mean, they move up here, they got to build a new house, or they got to retrofit the old house. And in my case, that was never expected of me. So my experience will obviously differ from yours or somebody you know, or if you've heard these stories before about guys coming up and just the whole village thinks that you're rich and they have their hand out. And my situation isn't like that. My wife had a good job in the past, and she'd been through all that with the village, and they know not to come asking for stuff, you know what I mean? And so I had that, I had a little advantage there, because my wife has been through this with herself and knows how to handle the villagers. It is a cheaper way to live out here. Definitely cheaper than Pattaya, Bangkok, the islands. If you see my last video, there's a new place right out on the edge of town that a guy built for a rental, and it's a brand new house, and he's only charging $3,300 a month, so like $100. Your money will go further out here. I mean, that is the truth, but there's a lot of trade-offs that you have to give up for that price difference. And like, isolation, you're in an agriculture community, and like my village, my wife, her mom and her grandmother are related to the whole place almost. Like, everybody's a cousin, everybody's related by marriage one way or the other, like it's isolated, even though the city's only right there. Which that's not a problem for us. Now I could see in other situations for guys that it might be, there's always somebody there that might think that you should give them money because you're white and rich and they're poor from the village. I mean, that's a thing, it happens. But if you have a good support system, as in your wife, her family, and say you're like in my situation where you're living at the family house, we can stay up here for pennies on the dollar compared to anywhere else. Now, even if you're buying your own, say you bought some property with your wife, you are building a house, obviously you're going to have a little more expenses, but it's still much cheaper than the West, the islands, Pattaya, Bangkok. Pattaya is cheap for an expat, but it's much more cheaper up here. But like I said, there's a lot more BS you're going to deal with. The isolation, the food, just your ability to stay entertained is less, so it's not for everybody, but for the people who do love staying up here, it's heaven on earth. Like, it's just beautiful. Now, when all the rice goes away, it's not as pretty, but it's still, like I said, I still love it. I will keep coming back, and at some point, maybe my wife and I will be here full time. At this moment, we're waiting on her American marriage visa, which it's been a year. Who knows how much longer that'll take. So we don't think about it much anymore, just because of what's going on there in the States. And it's not really where I want to be right now anyways. Like I said, if I could stay here year round, I would. But at this point, my financials, I have to go home and work in the spring. Or, with the money I make, we could probably stay here. I mean, we tried it 2 years ago. If we didn't want to have any fun, if we didn't want to go spring for a night out every once in a while, if we didn't do anything extra, we could live here for $800 a month or whatever. Maybe even, it's all in what you do. I like having a few beers. My wife does as well. We like going out every once in a while. We're getting ready to take a trip to Chiang Mai. So don't think that you can come up here with $500 or $600, $700, $800 and make it, because you will struggle. You won't be doing everything that you want to do. You will be, you know, basic poor. And I wouldn't suggest doing it like that, because you're missing out on a lot of things if you coming up here just to skim by. Now it's possible, and if that's how you live, more power to you. But I'm going to tell you that the less money you have, you know, it's just not going to be as good as it could be, because you want, when it's time to leave, like we're going to Chiang Mai tonight on the overnight bus, and because I've been here about a month now, and it's time to take a trip out. Like, now granted, we don't have to, but you know, why not? You know, because nothing's going to change here. Like, this is the same story, you know, the crow told me. It's village life, and like I said, I enjoy it, but there is a time, like today is the time that we're getting out and we're going to go do something good, because like I said, it's village life and it's not going to change. It's one of those things, if you love it, you love it. It's like coffee. If you love it, you love it. If you hate it, you hate it. And you won't know that till you come and try to do that. I mean, at least if you're on the fence. Many people know that this isn't the life for them. Many people stay in Patti in Bangkok and are happy and would never even consider visiting up here. And I get it. Like, I kind of had that idea when I first started coming to Thailand. I was like, why would I leave these tourist areas? Because they have everything I need. There's English speakers, there's Western food, there's women, there's, you know, more than just Leo Chung Singha for choice of beer. But after a while, I realized that maybe I do need to get out and see other parts of this country. And ever since I started doing that, my life has been better. And now that I have a foothold up here, it's even way better. You know what I mean? It's to each their own. For the guys who do come up, they know why they're here. The guys who come up and leave, you know, they know why they left. But for me, this will always be a special place, you know, because like I said, it's freedom. I mean, it's beautiful, and like I said, I love it. It's not for everybody, and I'm glad for that. Hey, this has been Zach with Savage Traveling, rambling on. Getting ready to go to Chiang Mai here in a couple hours, taking the all-night bus. Stay tuned for those videos if you want to change a pace, and hit that like button if this gave you any value, and please subscribe. It's free, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.